There are many examples of deception and ruses playing a role in both World War I and World War II. These are German dummy decoy tanks from World War I and from World War II. These can be used to trick an enemy's intelligence into overestimating your strength, redirect an attack, or stop an attack. Perhaps the best example is Operation Fortitude, where the Allies used bogus electronic communications and dummy military equipment to convince the Germans the D-Day landings will occur in the Calais area, some 150 miles up the coast from the Normandy beaches. The intent of this video is to review German usage of dummy military equipment and how German decoy plants were used to trick bombers into attacking the fake installation. This page from a 1947 United States Strategic Bombing Survey report on Germany's oil plants outlines protective measures taken to reduce plant bomb strikes. Oil plants are the most protected targets in Germany. This includes protection by fighters, flak, smoke screens, barrage balloons, blast walls, decoy plants, camouflage, and plant dispersal or locating the plants underground. These measures did reduce bomb strikes but did not stop the bombers. Bad weather and smoke screens were the largest factor in reducing bomb accuracy. Bomb accuracy was reduced by 75% if the plant was shrouded by a smoke screen. Many bombs also fell on decoy plants. This page outlines the differences between camouflage and dummies and decoys from a 1944 Combat Intelligence Officer's Handbook. The purpose of camouflage is to make an object hard to locate, confuse its identification, and be difficult to track. On the other hand, it is desired that dummies and decoys are displayed to be easily located and identified. Dummies and decoys are cheap, worthless copies of the real target. This is an example of a prison covered with camouflage netting from a 1945 Air Staff Intelligence document. Here is a British tank disguised as a harmless truck. These were used in a British ruse during the Second Battle of El Alamein in 1942. Entire German factories' marshalling yards have been camouflaged by netting to mask the target. One such netting covered 61 acres of a plant. Typical neighborhood items like roads, houses, and trees have been added to the tops of industrial targets. Disruptive painting may also be used. This image shows Boeing Plant 2 with its rooftop transformed into a neighborhood to camouflage the plant. Most B-17s were produced at this factory. An entire fake residential neighborhood was erected on its roof, including homes, streets, yards, trees, and sidewalks, including Synthetic Street and Burlap Boulevard. To reduce detection from the air, the Germans used netting, paints, vegetation, blackouts, smoke screens, and decoy plants. Nets and paints were used to camouflage medium-sized oil plants. This image shows the netting at the Huel synthetic rubber plant. The Germans elected to use smoke screens to protect the Leuna synthetic fuel plant rather than camouflage. This was due to the large 757-acre size and the effect matting would have on disrupting firefighting efforts from a 1947 USSBS Leuna oil facility document. This page from an April 1943 Air Staff Intelligence document describes how bombardiers and fighter pilots can identify decoy aircraft parked at airfields. A dummy plane may draw bombardiers and fighter pilots away from attacking a real plane. These factors should be considered in determining if a plane is a decoy or real. Lack of relief, lack of shadows, lack of symmetry, positioned at the same location. Its type is out of place. It is painted to attract attention. It is positioned at the airfield to draw fire away from hard stands and operational aircraft. These two planes have not moved in 16 days. This is an indication they may be fakes. This plane shows characteristics of a decoy including it's stationary, it lacks wing symmetry, and lack of a vertical stabilizer shadow. A decoy B-29 built by the Japanese, positioned as a trap surrounded by A-8 guns which would attack Allied fighters who flew in closer to investigate. A decoy B-29 painted on a field with what appears to be its number 2 engine on fire. An example of an Me-109 airfield decoy. A Japanese dummy seaplane made from wood and palm mats. An inflatable decoy Mustang, invasion stripes included. Japanese bamboo decoy aircraft. Japanese camouflage decoy aircraft. A reel and decoy tank. These can be inflated in 20 minutes and are lightweight. Air tubes provide support for the outer cover. Japanese volcanic ash sculpted decoy tank on Iwo Jima. 21 Allied inflatable decoy tanks. Notice the tanks are positioned along preset caterpillar tracks. This German decoy airfield was attacked, as discussed in this November 1943 Air Staff Intelligence document. The decoy airfield was located close to the real airfield and included features of the real airfield. Prominent features of the real airfield were somewhat camouflage, which added to the bombardier's confusion. These decoy airfields take a while to build, and aircrews need to be briefed on their locations. In this case, it fooled the aircrews. The dummy airfield's faded runway, lack of detail in its installations, and lack of activity are indications it's a decoy. The toned-down real airfield is here, and the excellent replica decoy airfield is here. An oil refinery decoy will need to give off smoke and fire to match the characteristics of a real target. This image shows the smoke expected from lighting up an oil refinery from a December 1944 Air Staff Intelligence document, a B-24 for size comparison. A plant decoy may add buildings, roads, and storage tanks for authenticity. Its features must match the real target. It's usually located around 2 miles from the real target. All oil refineries have oil storage tanks. Dummy tanks are easily replicated. Decoy refineries will be set ablaze in controlled oil fires where water is injected to produce steam. A British boiling oil decoy fire system. These produce fire and smoke matching bomb damage. This square in Munich was painted to resemble houses. Bombers used this square as a reference point, so it was disguised as a neighborhood. The real Skoda Armament Works plant and its decoy plant. The decoy plant is 3 miles from the real plant. The decoy was successful in diverting an entire mission's worth of bombers. The decoy plant set fires to fool the bombers. A close-up of the decoy's chimneys, streets, and buildings. This map shows features of the Palesti oil defenses. These shaded zones are the location of the electrical camouflage, and these zones are the decoy fire areas. Apparently they were elaborate, but not effective. I could not find any information on the purpose of these electrical camouflage dummy areas. Another view of the Skoda decoy plant with an image caption, located 3 miles from the real plant, fooled Allied bombers only once. The plant lit fires to indicate damage, turned lights on in dummy buildings, and dug simulated bomb craters. Another decoy plant with dummy storage tanks, roads, buildings, and a chimney. This decoy oil plant is located 3 miles from the real target. The decoy includes lights, smoke pots, and dummy wooden buildings and storage tanks at 150 acres in size. Smoke-producing oil bombs were electrically ignited. Flares were shot to confuse bombers. The plant was struck by around 10 bombs in one raid in 1944 and another 5 in 1945. That's a lot of effort for not a lot of bomb diversion. This overhead view shows the Czechoslovakian decoy oil refinery's dummy wharf, dummy pipeline, and dummy storage tanks. The decoy also included a smokescreen system, the real synthetic fuel plant while under attack and at war's end. This page describes the combat effectiveness of the oil plant decoys. The bomber diversion effect of the decoy plants varied with location. In the first 7 of 22 total attacks on the Leuna synthetic fuel plant, more bombs fell on the decoy plant than the real plant. Decoy plants in the Ruhr Valley and the Rhineland were effective against night-attacking RAF bombers. Some plants fired rockets and set fires to indicate the plant was on fire. The flare system at Misburg disrupted the RAF Pathfinder's marker flares. On some missions, decoys were struck with 80% of the bombs released. The decoy plant at Zeitz, however, was not effective at all. If you found this World War II German plant decoy topic interesting and informative, please consider commenting, liking, and/or subscribing to World War II U.S. Bombers.